Sons and daughters of St. Lucia, love the land that gave us birth, land of beaches, hills and valleys, fairest isle of all the earth. But do we take this Helen of the West for granted? Do we allow strangers to come evaluate our precious stone while we only admire her beauty in glossy magazines? And collectively, what are we doing that destroys the gem on which we reside? Helen's backstory is a glimpse into our romantic past. It's a sliver of hope for preservation of our endangered species. It's a lesson for tomorrow's embryos and an adventure for petrol heads seeking rediscovery, off-road challenges and camaraderie. Fellow St. Lucians, wherever you may roam, love, oh love, our island home. Untold Stories presents St. Lucia Undiscovered, Part 2. The warm Caribbean Sea caresses a face for nearly 85 kilometers. The rough Atlantic Ocean slaps her silly on the east coast. Her prized possession lies in her midsection, with holes which emit offensive odors. Tropical travelers and TripAdvisors mention her most viewed spots. She earns her keep based on the assets she flaunts. But Helen has some treasure which are hidden deep within her crevices and surrounded by plenty of bush. In an effort to deflower her, Untold Stories presented St. Lucia Undiscovered Part 1, a trek from Cap Estate to Denry using only the unbeaten paths. We trapped the escapade on film and showed it to the world. That journey was an epic adventure characterized by dust and greenery, and little inclines which defeated the most capable of four-wheel drives. The adventure retraced a road built more than 250 years ago and was an exercise meant for conservation and preservation. We traveled for over 10 hours. Then slowly, 50-odd SUVs, some badly wounded, and 50 motorcycles emerged through Olio Denry with a greater appreciation for St. Lucia's pristine splendor. Months later, we were at it for the second leg of the most anticipated rediscovery since the olive blossom landed in St. Lucia in 1605. It's an absolutely beautiful Sunday morning. Many of these faces have skipped Sunday Mass to clog up the William Peter Boulevard with expectant faces. And from the onset, it's clear a lot more of Helen's sons and daughters have turned out this time around. Some newcomers are more interested in chicken, ice-cold bears, and their four-wheel drives than the final destination. Others brought their miniatures to experience the adventure. There were mature off-road faces who had heard legends about this route. Even on the morning, they debated its true existence and condition. 7:22 a.m. and His Majesty the mascot made his grand entrance, sporting a brand new ride. Rumor has it that after the last adventure, his previous vehicle committed suicide when confronted with the thought of part 2.
Where are you going again? Go back, go back.
But before he could begin to entertain, the grandfather of four-wheel drives and the leader of the expedition shared some scriptures with him on this Sunday morning. The big question is, can a mascot change his spots? The William Peter Boulevard was awash with every make and model. Suzuki Vitara, Ford Ranger, Honda's puny CR-V, Mitsubishi Sportero, the noisy D-Max was there of course, Toyota's most reliable, albeit boring, Hilux seemed unperturbed. And of course, what good off-road would be complete without someone's grandfather's Grand Rover? This one sported brand new uprated suspension, expensive looking shock absorbers, and adequate ground clearance to deal with whatever Helen can concoct. By 7:40 a.m., the boulevard is an ocean of beautiful ladies. Kids of all ages, lock-in differentials, transfer cases, and cameras. Lots of cameras. Most great disasters begin when people overestimate the size of their tools.
The Mini will get stuck just because of the ground clearance.
Yeah,
just
it's
because
a
of the
little low, that's all.
Rally car of the year is Mini John Cooper World
The
Rally.
Mini, on its debut season.
Some believe that pedigree, build quality, and podium finishes qualify them to play with the big boys. Sadly, Mini Cooper obviously had the ambition of David in a sea of Goliaths.
ground clearance. That's
You get a little
it.
skinny.
That's assessment. It'll do that.
Yeah, it will touch a few times.
First conceived in 1959, the same model remained in production until year 2000. In 1999, the Mini was voted the second most influential car of the 20th century. In 2001, the shape evolved, but the agility and cute little face attracted more buyers. In 2011, the Countryman was born, sporting a longer wheelbase, more interior room, higher ground clearance, with traction to all four. Minis are silly little cars who just have no sense of fear for deserts,
Okay, you're next. Go.
snow, or even gravel stages. But this is St. Lucia Undiscovered, where the terrain has sent Japanese off-roaders begging for rope.
Just tie the long rope. One side didn't have a hook.
Certainly, this Mini was going to be mutilated, but the old-timers seem to have mixed emotion about the Mini's certain death.
Welcome back to St. Lucia Undiscovered. I guess it's part 2. I see a lot of familiar faces from the first run, which means that they enjoyed it. I see a lot of new faces, which means they want to enjoy it. Okay? So we're going to venture into the interior, get to know a little more about our island, and hope you can appreciate what we have here.
My role is as an environmentalist. The environment is there for you to enjoy. You have to remember a couple things. The rule of thumb is that once you enjoy it, you have to leave it in a state where your future generation can enjoy. No littering. You take nothing but photograph, leave nothing but footprints or tire prints, and kill nothing but time, okay? But at the same time, I'll be interpreting the natural history of St. Lucia. The documentary today will also document how you all treat the environment. So I'm appealing to you all that you all should not litter. You all should not be stealing the farmer's crop. That's pretty larceny. All right? Okay?
In safety, we have to remember a few things. First and foremost, as Mr. Toussaint said, there's the food in us. We do have snakes in St. Lucia, and we are going through the interior of the island, and it's a prime area for the furdulence. Furdulence is an extremely dangerous snake, so we don't want you venturing too far away from the route that we are on.
We left William Peter and R.J. Clark to play with dominoes as the wheels of every make and model rotated slowly as we exited the concrete jungle. Our final destination? The wilderness. Our route took us out of the city via the Millennium Highway, a 4.38-kilometer stretch of road constructed at a cost of $75 million. This stretch of road was the brainchild of the father of the nation. Today, it's a mass of undulating asphalt with deep craters which have claimed hundreds of tires over the years. A road which epitomizes shoddy construction. With 3 miles cleared and 1,249 more to go, we made our first diversion from the Castries-Bexon Highway into a 1-mile stretch of concrete which slices through the greens of the Farm Belt. It's Sunday, a banana harvest day. Stained clothes, cutlasses, and boxing plants are hard at work. Over the last 10 years, banana exports have declined from 48,161 tons in 2002 to a mere 21,910 tons by 2012, a 45% drop. Some blame falling prices. Others credit the loss of preferential treatment, and agronomists testify that black Sikatoka nailed the coffin on an industry which successive governments have neglected. Time check, 8:51 a.m. Well-manicured feet massage brand new pedals, and the Mini's temperature hovers around 22 degrees. But the forces of nature and a long tow rope await.
We come out in Mac, on the highway at Mac. Then we hit the Wavin Poisson, onto the Bardil, down to Tomazo. So now we are on the east coast of St. Lucia. And then we get into Grand Riviere, we head into Tomazo. So we turn right into Tomazo. From Tomazo, we head into Basel. And from Basel, we get down to Erad.
It's the second time for the morning that I've spotted this little black car. It must be lost. And of course, no off-road adventure will be complete without Master Norris St. Edward and his quad bike riding, helmet wearing cousin. They will be my designated riders as I put my family jewels on the back of their bikes to capture megapixels in the heart of the backlands.
Right now we are going down the Bad Lil and we are approaching a place called Tamazo. Okay? And then from Tamazo we cross the Mabuya Valley River and we end up in Grand Riviere.
As the convoy turned into Montparnasse, I couldn't help but recount this area's bloody past. On Tuesday, 7th October 1993, a strike organized by the Banana Salvation Committee climaxed as striking farmers and police, armed with tractors and automatic weapons, clashed right here in the Denry Valley. When the hail of bullets stopped, Randy and Julius Joseph lay dead. This monument stands as a reminder of the mayhem Kalalu, cooked with green figs, flavored with red beans, fueled by money, albeit lust for political power, and dished out by a charismatic leader.
For 250.
When we return, Goliath is found on the road, dead. A man kisses a snake. And what's up with this little spark?
We knew them for quality documentaries, but they do so much more. We conceptualized our ad and saw it to completion.
We wanted something simple and classy. They scripted, filmed and edited an excellent 30-second commercial.
We gave them the general idea and they gave us a masterpiece.
And best of all, it was free. We owned our commercial, plus they placed it in the most popular television program in St. Lucia.
It's a sunny Sunday morning and 103 SUVs, a BMW Mini Cooper Countryman, and even little Sparky joined the sequel adventure dubbed St. Lucia Undiscovered Part 2, which departed Castries at 8:04 a.m. Then we meandered through Bexon, Marc, and Ravin-Poisson. On the Badlil, we met up with the entire congregation of the Labour Party. We turned right from the main highway into Montparnasse, and already this trek is beginning to claim some casualties.
We can't break down. You want to hold
The convoy was brought to a halt as young participants and senior citizens tried to convince little Sparky to turn back. If not, its final resting place would surely be the hills of Denry.
Denry was named after Count Denry, Governor General of the French Windward Islands from 1766 to 1770. Before that time, the place had been called Anscano. The French Revolution in 1791 gave Denry a new name, Le Republicain. But as soon as the island became British, once more the village went back to using the old name again. By 1775, the Denry district had 61 estates with more than 1,000 slaves. Although sugar was the main crop, cotton, tobacco, and spices were also grown. When the French Revolution came in 1791, they were told they were free and would be paid for their labor. This never happened. In fact, the revolution brought even more trouble to the island.
As we left Denry, the magnitude of our bandwagon became apparent. But before long, the road claimed yet another victim.
My brakes are dead. It's got hot. We just started, it got too hot.
What vehicle are you driving again?
Hilux. And we are going.
Did you see the Mini?
Pardon?
Did you see the Mini?
I saw the Mini.
Was it rolling?
Very rolling.
Did it break?
My name is Blue and I'm casualty number 2.
Effortlessly, the Mini Countryman splashed through that scene. Not surprisingly, the Sportero which followed had to engage four-wheel drive to navigate this puddle.
Callum, was that four-wheel drive you used a while ago?
No.
You used four-wheel drive, Callum, a while ago. What is that?
Check your battery.
You cheating, man.
That one.
You're making a Mini Cooper in two-wheel drive. You... ACA.
Okay, just did it.
This flower is a Haliconia. So Haliconia caribe, which is indigenous species to St. Lucia. And this tree above it there, this tree above it there, is balsa. And that's the lightest wood in the world. You can't have no wood that is lighter than that. In fact, it was used for building model aircrafts.
Look out for snakes from here.
Yeah, good off-road.
And of course, the chairman of the board came along to add some spice to the mix.
What do you think about the route so far?
Wonderful.
Did you ever know that route existed?
Not exactly, no.
If you had to say two things to people with four-wheel drives in St. Lucia, what would it be?
Explore. Come out. Do something with your four-wheel drives. Don't leave them on the highways. That's the route for it.
A while ago, a bee came inside of here. Let me tell you, I got out of that van in a record-shaking time. I was like, oh my God.
As a female four-wheel drive owner, what would you like to say to other women who buy four-wheel drives just for the concrete jungle?
The best. Well, not for the concrete jungle. This is it. Off-road. Woo!
So this is the property of St. Lucia Youth Agriculture Forum for Youth project. And what they display in here is how they do sustainable charcoal production. This stack of wood really is a tree that was harvested by the farmer, a mahogany tree, by some landowner. And then the remnants of the tree that they utilize in, and no matter, you see the small side of it, etc., they can utilize it efficiently. So what they do, they cut it in small pieces, they put it in there, and within a couple of days, they will light it, and within a couple of days, you will have charcoal production, charcoal, within a day or two.
As the voyage continued, we we ran into a prehistoric hybrid vehicle.
It's a cross between a horse and a donkey, and they call it a mule. A mule in Creole, in our parlance, yeah. But this is very nice. I mean, Discover St. Lucia brings you, actually show you some of the things that, because before the mules were very common on St. Lucia. And I haven't seen the mule probably in over 40 years. So, so this is a very interesting expedition, very informative expedition that we discover that we still have mules still existing on St. Lucia, and that they're still in a very good state. And probably there may not be much specimens left in the mules.
I go in that vehicle for y'all.
You have to come in today. I just say where you have to come in today.
I had a miscarriage the last time I go in that.
You have to come in that.
No, my God, it's hard.
Considering you were in primary school with John Compton and you have not traveled these roads since St. Lucia's exported 64,000 tons of bananas per year, what are your thoughts on the road?
I don't know what the hold up is, but it's fine.
It's fine. What would you like to say to other senior citizens?
Do not get to be like Dale.
Thoughts thus far?
It's very slow, but it's a lot of fun.
Then, predictably, in the middle of nowhere, Sparky was lodged between two wreckers.
What I like about this is the man has left with both wrecker companies in his pocket. Your thoughts on the run so far?
It's alright, man. We're good. I can walk that.
You can walk that?
Yeah, man. Good.
Says the guy with the little belly.
That belly. That is the gas tank. You check it. That's the fuel. Remember Tuesday we have a date, eh? I forget that. Making it.
Him. What do you want to ask me?
Ask him. Hurry up.
Ask him, Ali.
No.
No?
When I grow up, I want to be a lemon war just like Daddy.
Why you have two different color shoes, Gasser? Because he's a clown. He's a clown. The only clowns you got.
You forget I'm behind you, man.
We just left Basel and now we're approaching Erad. And there is another intersection that you'll get into the Erad Estate Road. So this is where we're descending on the eastern aspect of the Basel Ridge. So we are at Erad right now. Yeah. When you hear Erad, you know this is Federland's territory. So you need to be very careful when you're exploring and going anywhere out of the road into the area there.
St. Lucia is home to an array of pervasive serpents.
The St. Lucian whiptail is a species endemic to St. Lucia, where it has been expatriated from the main island and is now only native to small islets of Maria Major and Maria Minor. With fewer than 1,000 individuals estimated, a third population has been established on a nearby parallel island through translocation. It is the only species of whiptail found in the Caribbean.
The St. Lucia racer is now restricted to Maria Islet, its last refuge in the whole world. It belongs to the largest family of snakes and grows to a length of 3 feet. The back is colored olive brown with a black zigzag pattern down the back. It feeds on lizards and frogs and possibly small birds. The Guinness Book of Records bills our fourth snake, called the worm snake, as the world's smallest snake. It measures only 6 inches long and 1/8 of an inch wide. It's brown with 2 brassy yellow lines running down the back. It spends most of its life underground and emerges only when the ground is saturated by rain.
Our next stop was an 18th century sugar estate hinted as a haven for the Ferdalus, one of the most venomous snakes in the world.
Erad Estate originally started as a sugar plantation back in the 1700s when sugar was the main industry in St. Lucia. After sugar went out, the estate transformed into a cocoa and coconut plantation. The house was actually built in 1904, so it's obviously past a centurion. It's a very old house right now. As you can see, she's missing a bit of love. Back in 1982 or 83 was the first time it was actually restored 100%. There was a movie filmed here, a movie called Water starring Michael Caine. This was actually Government House in the movie. There was a helicopter pad placed in the front lawn here and a Lucian flag flying back in the days. In 1982 or 83, after the movie production went on, we actually became the first plantation tour here in St. Lucia. And unfortunately, other plantations opened up their doors and started doing the same thing. And there are 2 or 3 plantations in Soufrière doing the same thing, and they have become a major competition. And unfortunately, we can no longer compete against them.
When we return, Esperance and the Prophecy of Doom. And later, a bridge built by the devil.
Once in your life, you will need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, and a preacher. But every day, 3 times a day, you need a farmer. Sun up and sun down, we're in the fields and on the sea, wrestling your next meal, tending to crops, and caring for the animals. Technology increases our yield and makes us more efficient. We're the best navigators, accountants, delivery men, and sales agents. We nurture the next generation, and best of all, we're supported by our extended financial family. Come speak with them about SmartClimb, the facility which transitions us from farmers to sustainable agri-businessmen. The Laborie Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank, we're better.
Coming out of Erad now. Where you? Good.
Perfect. We left snake-infested Erad Estate and headed back onto the highway. As we passed Frigate Island, we couldn't help but exhale a collective sigh of shame. Shame that a government would agree to a project which undoubtedly disrupted the virgin ecosystem in this area. Shame because even years after this blunder, it stands as a cruel monument of poor planning and execution. Our guide profited the opportunity to offer a glimpse into the area's biodiversity.
A number of different types of mangrove tree species, but the one that is most of that you will see here is the red mangrove that has the characteristics tilt roots as if they're walking. So that will help them to keep above the ground. Mangroves ecosystems is endangered because a number of development people are actually cutting down the mangrove, and that is why it is so important to protect the mangrove. The largest area of mangrove in St. Lucia is found in the south of St. Lucia in an area called Marcotte. The Marcotte mangrove is considered to be a wetland of international importance, and then the other one we have is at Savans Bay.
Our next stop is every archaeologist's wet dream, a village once called Angers Point.
Mico is perhaps the richest in Amerindian history. Between Mico and Canals, archaeologists have found evidence of 8 or 9 settlements. Remains of cooking pit stones and shell tools have been discovered. This area was previously called Ager Point.
What she didn't say is that Miku is home to dangerous creepy crawlies waiting to caress unsuspecting invaders.
You see it opening in mouth. That's a venomous snake. Yeah.
The Maho Road is the main artery of the Miku Farm Belt. The expedition would travel from here to Saltibus using only the unbeaten paths. There would be precipice, river crossings,
What?
Wait, is that Goliath that has broken down?
We were prepared.
Of course it's a hood. But I want to turn up my idol.
When we return, found on road, dead.
Try as they might for us not to capture their inevitable breakdown, the Fords suffered the famous red van curse.
40250. Oh, Lord. This is 7.
Hey. You don't buy it in, man.
No, but I did not cover it.
Hey, you have a hard boiled egg there. You have a hard boiled egg. Sulfur Spring, is it?
Save the memory.
Springs.
Meanwhile, the little Mini has not broken a sweat. And it wasn't just fit, function, pedigree and prestige the Mini countryman has over Henry Ford and his overheating cousin. The Mini also had superior ride height as gallantly demonstrated in this ground clearance test. There you have it. The Mini Countryman has more ground clearance than a Ford F-150. Whilst we giggled at Ford's expense, the environmentalist told the most fascinating tale about a nut.
The coconut plant is one of the most versatile, one of the most useful, most adaptive, and most resilient plant that you would find existing on St. Lucia. Of course, most people know that as a coconut. This is a seed, right? Some people think it is a fruit, but this is the biggest seed you will find in St. Lucia. In fact, the biggest seed in the world is from a coconut palm. This is the coconut husk. This is a mulch. It's used for making beds. Before, people used to make it in the beds, etc., and especially when they make mattress. They use it as a mulch. But to the plant itself, this is potential food for the new plant.
Our camera crew also discovered Sir John's Maho Estate House, a place where countless high-level decisions were made. Then, the moment we all feared. Next, we move to the Decate Forest Reserve, the home of the Amazona versicolor. In the mid-1970s, there were less than 150 of these parrots in St. Lucia. Extinction would have been certain if it had not been for the most intensive conservation and education campaign to happen in St. Lucia. In September 1979, the parrot was declared the national bird of St. Lucia, and in 1980, the Wildlife Protection Act banned the hunting and capture of all wildlife species in St. Lucia. Today, well over 1,500 make regular flights, landing in Millet, de Badlil, and especially in Descartes.
Sometime in the 1980s, a guy had a vision, a dream. This is the area here. Right? This road led into Esperance. And he got up one day and he told everybody that he had a dream. It's entire, and there will be a major catastrophe where landslide will happen and everybody in the community will die. It didn't take a week before everybody vacated the community. To tell you the truth, nothing happened. And it's more than 20 years now and nothing has happened.
Coming up, one man does the impossible and another one bites the dust.
To transform farming to agribusiness, we nurture the earth, and the earth nurtures us. The seasons progress, the boats come in, and so do we. Our partners keep us rooted as we sow ancestral wisdom with modern technology, superior financial support, and insurance for the unforeseen. And hand in hand with our community, we grow and we deliver, knowing the Labrie Cooperative Credit Union's Smart Climb loan facility has been designed specifically so us fishers and farmers can be more responsible to the environment which feeds us all. Call them, ask for it by name. Smart Climb. The Labrie Cooperative Credit Union. We're not a bank, we're better.
From 14.1 degrees north, 60.59 degrees west, shortly after 0800, a multicolored train with every brand and shape choo-chooed out, up the Millennium Highway, through the dark holes, down the bumpy stretch. We passed Bexon and danced through the banana trees in Mark. We were up and down Landslide Alley in a jiffy. Then, right turn up Montparnasse. We barely escaped Basel. Then we became entrapped within the footless capital of St. Lucia. We stopped at the DeVos' haunted 19th century mansion. We met up with a countryman and his best friend Sparky. As we allowed the gods of mud and locking differentials to swim across the Trumasse River. Then we stopped off just to enjoy the view. By the time we hit Descartes, alien drones were upon us. A final dash across the Canal River, and the spectacle that awaited was awe-inspiring. When we arrived at this river, there were two four-wheelers over the crest, a 1948 Toyota Hilux and an ancient Pajero. Hill 1, Toyota Hilux 0.
Get him the chicken, fellas. Give me the chicken.
Next was the turn of the Mudster. Hill 2, Toyota 4Runner 0.
These guys are overdoing it, buddy.
I believe you. Nobody will climb that.
Albert is the only man that should be able to climb, and if Albert can't make it, nobody will.
Yeah, watch yourself now. Now it's pop and go.
And of course, Albert relished the challenge. Hill 3, Albert's Prado, 0. Many hours later, someone captured the impossible on a cell phone. Amazingly, it was only after all others failed that the first 2 vehicles confessed that they were winched up the embankment. We left the boys to frolic as the procession traveled through the Grand Ravine du Vieux-Fort, up through Fort Coulis.
What?
Yeah.
One more.
What did you say? You what? Casualty number 2?
And yet another one bit the dust. We turned left from Grace Head into Woodlands. From here, it would be some serious rough and tumble to get to Saltibus. We arrived at Saltibus at 5:06 p.m. The Mini's co-pilot was flabbergasted that the fuel gauge seemed frozen. The march past resumed, but the biggest question was, did the spark make it? Well, rumor has it that by divine intervention, the spark breezed its way past the procession, and since it wasn't faced with much of a challenge, it strolled into the sunset, leaving us mere mortals to chase a bridge built by the devil.
That bridge is way too scary.
Very, very.
In the Grand Canyon of St. Lucia. So the east bank here is close to about 30 meters, and the west bank is about 20 meters. So you could see the river in its quest to find new openings and to conquer. It actually bounced against this wall, created a hole there, moved back, and out here. So here we are below what is called the Devil's Bridge.
There is a story about this bridge. People say the man who built it made a pact with the devil. He promised that when it was finished, the devil could take the first person who walked over it. When the bridge was completed, he was so excited he forgot his promise and ran across. Fortunately, his little dog ran ahead and reached the other side. The devil must have been satisfied with his small prize. They say the dog disappeared.
5 months you're going now.
Forty meters. St. Lucia Undiscovered Part 2. What can I say? Once again, Dale has gone above and beyond. Very informative, enlightening, of course, the people of St. Lucia what it's all about. Not just your sand and sea and pitons, the interior, the lush vegetation, flora, fauna. Barnon, one of the greatest places on earth.
Of all of the vehicles, I've always loved Mini Coupe. I think it is the Italian job when I saw Mini Coupe, and I've always dreamed one of these days my car. I've never owned a car in my life because it is very low off the ground and the power. I've always liked vehicles with a lot of muscles. But honestly, the Mini Coupe is unbelievable. I could not believe the Mini Coupe could be able to go through this route. Honestly thought you all actually lift it up and put it certain places. But I mean, when we pass Maslagwas going through to Warwick Reserve into Daba. Honestly, could not believe that the Mini Cooper made it through without a scratch, without a dent, and without oil and water pouring all on the ground. I mean, this is impossible.
Very exciting. I think most St. Lucians have to enjoy what we have, our own. And I was really impressed, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Out of all the vehicles, which one impressed you the most?
I mean, I didn't get a chance to really see them in action, but I like the Wrangler with that was raised, the silver one. That's an impressive vehicle. That would be my choice if I had to take a vehicle to do this.
Awesome.
And actually, I was impressed with the Mini. The Mini, if the Mini can do it, anybody can do it.
To me, it was a lot to take in because when you out where we are normally, you don't see the island the way it was brought to us like now. So I really enjoyed it.
Out of all of the vehicles you saw today, which one impressed you the most?
In all honesty, the Spark. The Chevrolet Spark was pretty amazing. I didn't expect it to pass quite a lot of places, and it actually did.
To the average person with an SUV that never goes off-road, what would you say to them?
Oh, I think they should definitely try it.
Out of all the vehicles today, which car were you most impressed with?
The Mini and the Spark, was it? Where is it? How far did it get? Where is it? I haven't seen it.
For my first time being here, I must say it was an eye-opening experience. I didn't expect to be here at this time with so many people, so many vehicles, so much fun. I mean, fellas trying to climb up a riverbank in a 4x4, I mean, who wouldn't want to see that, I mean. But all in all, I must say it was an experience to all St. Lucians, they should engage in, to be honest.
Out of all the vehicles here, which one impressed you the most?
Out of all the vehicles here, I would say the Mini Cooper, to be honest. The Mini Cooper. Because imagine, you seen these 4x4s coming in there, and then you seen that little Mini Cooper. Everybody going vroom, vroom, and then the Mini Cooper is going, yeah, I can do it too. I see you at the top.
Hey now, where you gonna go from here? I said, hey now, where you gonna go from here? The fool has never been